Hi, I'm Callie from CRK Training. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a very common and a frustrating problem, and this is horses that paw. So today I'm going to answer the question of why does my horse paw, and I'm also going to give you some strategies to help stop the pawing. So pawing can be frustrating for us, and it can also be destructive, where a horse digs up our arenas or scratches up our barn aisles or our stalls. So there's three main reasons that horses paw. I'm going to go over them first, and then we'll discuss some of those strategies you can use to help stop pawing. So the first reason that horses will paw is emotion. So if a horse is bored or if a horse is frustrated, we'll often see the pawing behavior start. An example of boredom would be a horse that's tied up, either cross-tied in the barn or maybe tied somewhere to a fence or a horse trailer. He gets bored just standing there and he starts to paw. Can also be frustration. So if we have a horse in a training context that starts to paw, it can be out of frustration of not being able to figure out how to get a reward or how to find a release. We can also see the horse that's tied pawing out of frustration of not being able to move as well. Now, the second reason that horses will paw is as a learned behavior. So we see this reason most commonly in the context of feeding. So pawing is naturally associated with horses eating and with feeding, because if you think about kind of a wild environment, a horse is going to paw to dig up snow and help uncover food below the snow. So when we are, say, feeding along a line of stalls, the horses that haven't gotten their feed yet can naturally start to paw, just kind of as a natural behavior associated with expecting that food to come. But if they start pawing and we walk by and dump in the food, we're basically reinforcing that pawing behavior, which means that we're rewarding it. So if we continue to do that day after day, that we start rattling the grain buckets, we come out with the food, the horse starts pawing, and we walk over and we give him his food, he's going to get stronger with that pawing behavior because he's learning in his mind that pawing equals food. Now, the third reason that horses can paw is out of investigation. So if you walk your horse onto a new surface, or especially if you're maybe taking him up the ramp of a horse trailer for one of the first times, and he starts pawing that trailer ramp, that's just a way of him investigating that surface beneath his feet. The best way to change the pawing behavior, to basically get rid of this, is to teach the horse something different. So instead of focusing on trying to punish the pawing, teach the horse to do something else instead. So, for example, if we have a horse that is pawing because he's getting emotional, try to set up the situation where maybe you're only asking him to stand not quite as long, so that you can reward standing still without pawing by either giving him an actual reward like a treat or petting him, or you can even walk him away and give him the reward of moving and then ask him to stand again. So you're focusing not on stop pawing, but you're focusing instead on good boy, good job, standing still. So it's focusing on teaching a different behavior to replace the pawing. Now, if we have a horse that is pawing in the context of expecting food to come, we can teach him to do something else, such as play with the ball. And I'm going to put a link to a video that shows you this technique down below. So we can teach the horse to play with the ball. And for investigation, this is the one time where we are probably going to allow some pawing. So especially if it's in a case of somewhere where we want the horse to go. If we want them to, for example, go into a trailer, it's okay if they paw the ramp a little bit, because we want to give them that opportunity to have a little bit of investigation. When they're pawing out of motion, or if they're starting to do it as a habit, generally we want to try to interrupt that and teach them something different, because pawing is one of those behaviors that is self-reinforcing, which just means that the horse basically gets rewarded just by doing the pawing. We don't need to actually reward him separately for doing it. It feels good to paw. So most of the times, the more that a horse paws, the more he's going to want to paw. Now, the most difficult pawing behavior to get rid of is the pawing while a horse is eating. A lot of times this begins from a horse that feels rushed or feels frustrated when he's eating. It can come from some of the emotion that led up to that feeding time. So for example, if he's in a big barn and he has to wait a long time to get his feed and he's kind of amped up before he gets it. Or if we have a horse that was in a situation where he learned to bolt down his feed in order to keep other horses from taking it. So if you recognize that this might be the case with your horse, that he paws the ground as he's actually eating, then you might want to think about if there's some way that you can change his feeding sequence, if you can change where he eats, if you can change the amounts of his feeding and see if that helps with the pawing behavior. So I hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you have anything to add, I would love to see your comments. And the best comments, the best conversation always happens at crktrainingblog.com. Go there now. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. And as always, thanks for watching.